Hey everyone, I'm here today taking a look at the Mattel's Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous Extreme Chomping Spinosaurus, which is pretty much exactly the same as the Legacy Collection Extreme Chomping Spinosaurus, but it's a different colour. But I still thought I'd take a look, because it's still a really cool toy. And the original Legacy Collection one was pretty hard to get hold of in America, I think. This one's going to get a more widespread release, I believe. Now first I'll quickly go over the articulation. The arms go out to the side. They're quite stiff, but they do move in and out, and they go forward and backwards as well. The head's got two joints, so you can get a good range of motion going up and down and side to side there like that. The mouth opens and closes if you press the button on the back of his neck. That's the extreme chomping action. On the original release there was enough friction on my one that the mouth would stay open if you wanted it to, but on this one there isn't. Now I don't know if that was the same on all the original release or if it just depends on the toy you get, if there was just a slight extra bit of plastic on mine, but there was enough friction that it would hold open, which was nice for display purposes, whereas this one is pretty much stuck closed all the time. Legs swivel out a little bit, as well as going forward and backwards. On the original release, if you had him standing upright like this, he would often slide forward. Now this one's falling over, but that's more a balance issue. But on the original, the actual joints at the thighs there were quite loose, so he would gradually start to slide down until he ended up face down in the dirt, whereas the back legs on this one are a lot tighter, so you can get him in upright positions like this without worrying about him falling off the shelf. And it makes him a bit more stable as well, which is good. Glad they've improved upon that. Then the tail at the back wiggles around. There's a range of motion there. And this one comes with the tail attached. On the original, the tail was detached and you had to plug it in yourself when you bought the figure, which wasn't a big deal, but it's nice that it all comes assembled in the box this time. And then he's got the swivels at the ankle, which I don't really like because they completely break up the sculpt and look weird. I think there'd be probably be better if the articulation went up and down, so you could have his legs posed in different positions. If you just could sort of pivot the ankles forward and backwards, then you could actually have him, you know, with one leg forward and back, different than the pre-sculpted pose that you're kind of stuck with here, just with that rather pointless swivel. Now here he is next to the original, just so you can see the colour difference. Now one thing that does bother me about this new release is that the claws on his front hands are not painted. And on the original ones they were, and you know, on some of these dinosaurs you can get away with it. The T-Rex, his front arms are tiny and his claws are small, so it doesn't show up so much. But because the Spinosaurus has such big hands and claws at the front, it's really noticeable that they aren't painted the same colours as the claws on his feet. You can see there they're not painted at all compared to the original. And that was something that impressed me on the original, that it was one of the few dinosaurs in that first few waves that had the front claws painted, so I am quite disappointed in that. And sometimes it can be difficult to find the exact colour really of the back claws. They're kind of a grey colour, I guess I'm going to have to try and find to match up. Now if you've got that original Legacy Collection release, you'll know the sculpt. And of course it is a really nice sculpt like all of these. It's back in the days when they were still doing the smooth tongues though, so there's no texturing on the tongue inside, but there's still a lot of texturing on the upper jaw inside and the lower jaw. Now I'm not sure if this is a more accurate paint job than the original release. It's a lot lighter, it's almost the same kind of grey as the T-Rex except for the frill there. You can see it gets darker and there's a nice red shading, which is quite like the original that had the red along the tip of the frill as well. You can see in the background there. They do look good together, because there was actually a third Spinosaurus released in between these two with battle damage, which looked really cool as an action feature, but I don't think it was released in the UK. I've never seen it anywhere, and it was a really garish kind of neon blue colour and just would not have matched with these two at all, so that really put me off getting it. But I wish the battle damage one had been released in this colour scheme, because it would have been nice if we got a bit of a new sculpt at least from the Spinosaurus rather than exactly the same one again. Even though these two are a different colour, I feel like it's not so drastically different that they look strange together. I think they still kind of fit as if they could be part of the same species, just with a different colour toning. It's not like that battle damage one, which was such a neon blue. It would have looked really odd with these two. But I do wish that we'd got a new sculpt, or maybe even an electronic Spinosaurus. I mean, we've had we had two electronic T-Rexes, an electronic Indominus. We've even had an electronic Carnotaurus, so the Spinosaurus really deserves an electronic release. And you can see here what I was saying about how there's enough friction on that first release to hold the mouth open, because the button could be quite stiff to push in, which was good for me because I want to be able to pose it with the mouth open, but the new one is a lot looser, which makes it easier to use the actual action feature, but it does mean that you then can't get the mouth to stay open. I think I do like the new paint job more than the original. The new paint job's actually a bit more intricate, even though they skipped on doing the nails. Otherwise, there's a bit more detailing. This has got some kind of white, creamy paint in there as well as the brown and the red, whereas on the original it just had kind of the brown and the red for the most part. So you can see if you compare the faces, there's a bit more detailing with all of that white paint around the eye there. And then along the back, you've got kind of three different colours being mixed together there, the white, the grey and the red, on top of the kind of browny grey colour of the dinosaur itself, whereas on the original it is just that very dark grey and then with a white and a red stripe on the back there. So there is more detailing to this one. I think it is a better paint job. And then just to give you a comparison from this side of them as well. And here he is alongside the Camp Cretaceous T-Rex, which is my favourite T-Rex so far. And they do look good together. You know, the T-Rex looks a little bit bigger, though if you pose the Spinosaurus more upright, that can make him look larger. But it would be nice to get a Spinosaurus that's a bit bigger and electronic as well. You can see they're lined up next to each other. How the T-Rex is not only thicker, but also longer as well. So it does make the Spinosaurus look a bit too small in comparison. But it is nice that we can finally have a T-Rex being outnumbered by the Spinosaurus. There's just a quick look at it in the box. It's standard Camp Cretaceous box with the kind of visitor centre in the background and the forestry. It's quite a nice background really, and then like the kids in the corner and a Carnotaurus there. And on the back here is a picture of the dinosaur and an idea of its action feature. A couple more that are available in the line. And there's the app code for both of the Spinosaurus. So that's just a quick look at the new Spinosaurus from Camp Cretaceous. Because it's pretty much the same as the original one, I didn't have all that much new to say about it, but it is still a welcome addition to the collection. It's always nice to have more Spinosauruses because it is a dinosaur I like. And it's kind of made me want to go back and watch Jurassic Park 3 again when I get home. So thanks for watching everyone, and I'll catch you in the next video.